welcome to our first episode of 3Gs, where we're making a chili. That's a Gastric Gastro by Greer, and that's me. First thing we're going to do today is get out our knife and get ready to start chopping. Here we have a green pepper, and you'll notice it's already a little bit pre-chopped. As you'll hear me talk about later, I forgot to get enough pepper. So we're going to be making some substitutions here and making sure that we can still make it work. We want a nice medium dice on this pepper. If your knife skills aren't the sharpest, you're welcome, then just take your time, go a little bit slower, but you really just want to make sure everything's as consistent as possible. You'll find throughout this recipe, we're making chili, so it's forgiving. You don't have to be 100% precise, and if your knife cuts aren't up to snuff, don't worry about it. But let's go ahead and get started and get a nice chop on all these peppers. Let's get started by taking the top off of this onion and just checking it for brown spots. The great thing about chili is you can use a lot of stuff that's left over in your pantry. Some of it may not be the freshest, some of it may not be the best, but when we blend all these flavors together, you're not going to notice. And you don't have to tell people, especially if they're not your really good friends. Don't tell them. Don't tell them the onion was a week old. They don't need to know. They're going to love the chili. Now, we're going to look at this one and see I've got a little bit of a bad spot here. I cut it off. And then we're going to give it a medium dice. Go horizontal and then go vertical right down that onion. And then you're going to turn it and you're going to make it into a bunch of medium diced chunks. Onions, they really bother people. People get afraid. I'm going to cry, whatever. Sure, I'll cry over a lot of stuff. The Notebook, whether or not I remember to study for that test that I had when my son takes his first steps. But onions aren't one of them. Wash your knife with some cold water, put a little bit of lemon juice down on your cutting board, and you can prevent yourself from getting tears, okay? I say all that, and let me tell you a little story. If you wear glasses, take your glasses off, because that onion juice seems to get stuck behind the glass lens against your eye. And I'm not saying I cried, I'm not saying I didn't cry, I'm just saying it is possible. So use care when you're dicing your onions, especially if you have a lot like I have here. And just take care of yourself. Now you're going to put all those onions on that plate, scoop them up, and you're almost ready to go. The last step we have here is garlic. Some people swear by fresh garlic. I have to use fresh garlic. I can't use anything else. That is totally fine for me. We're trying to get this out. I've got a kid strapped to my chest right here, so I'm trying to make this as quick as possible. If I use a little bit of pre-peeled garlic, that's fine with me. It should be fine with you too. Smash that garlic with your knife. Some people like to bang on the knife, but I find that you can cut yourself. So just push down on it like I'm doing here, and then you're gonna cut it up. Now, if this were something very specific, like I was trying to serve up some mashed potatoes or something that needed very tiny minces of garlic, I'd be a little bit more precise. But here, I don't need that. I'm just gonna chop it a bunch of times, turn it, run my knife up and down that garlic, and now we're good to go on this plate. Side note about that plate, I said I like to keep everything there. Garlic usually cooks last, so just be aware of that when you're doing your garlic. Don't scoop everything down if you're doing a veggie section. Keep the garlic off to one side. Now, I like to add a little bit of natural spice with this jalapeno, so I just take the side off the jalapeno, just like I would with a green pepper, just a little bit more careful. And please, for the love of everything that you love, including your eyesight, do not rub your eyes after you cut up this jalapeno. It will hurt. Promise, I've done it before. It's not my favorite way to realize that I don't have clean hands. Now, I've got this chopped up. We're gonna put this on the plate as well. I can saute this with the pepper, so I'm gonna put this. Now for the best part of this dish, we get our spice blend. And this consists of a whole bunch of different spices that are lovely. First off, we got like 4 or 5 tablespoons of chili powder. The more chili powder, the merrier. Next, you're gonna add in some cumin, okay? I'm gonna add in about a heaping teaspoon here. You could add up to a tablespoon. It's just gonna change the flavor a little bit. I have a little extra cumin, so I dump that on as well. Next thing we have is paprika. So I put in about a tablespoon of paprika. I add a little bit of smoked paprika to mine as well. I have here some coriander. Comes from the same area as the cumin seed, but it has a little bit more of a, I don't know, citrusy, nutty flavor. You know those words that people use in chef shows that we don't really understand. It just adds a little bit of flavor. Next, oregano. Don't add too much because you'll end up with what I like to call spaghetti chili instead of regular chili. After that, thyme, about a teaspoon. And you can check all the measurements down in the description. 2 Bullion cubes. We have a can of green chilies and chopped tomatoes that we're going to add. And that's going to come when we get to our section later. Tablespoon of garlic powder, tablespoon of onion powder. I swear by those. You can never go wrong with them. and you see how this beautiful blend of spices is coming together. So all of this is going to go into our chili once we're done making the meat and cooking up our veg. Right here we've got our Dutch oven. I've got that ripping hot. I've got some olive oil that I'm about to put in here. I don't know why, it just sounded like I'm from Boston. Yeah, it's ripping hot. I'm about to put in all this meat. It's gonna be ripping delicious. So we're gonna put our olive oil down, let that get a little bit of smoke. You'll see there I had a pound of turkey and a pound of beef. I dropped my beef in first because it has its own natural fat. Add salt, guys. Season as you go, please. Okay, this is really good Maldon sea salt. Shout out to Joe Zolo. He's the one who recommended it, sent me the link. Once you got that meat cooked, you're gonna scoop it out with a spider. You'll see that there's still some pink in it. Because this is gonna simmer later, I'm not worried about it. If you are, you can cook it as long as you want. We're gonna do our turkey next, more olive oil, get that simmer back, and then we're gonna put our turkey down in there. This turkey was previously frozen. I just kept it in a freezer bag in my freezer, as I say freezer again, and it's something that really lasts a long time. Add some more salt, lots of pepper. I have never put too much pepper in a chili, so don't be afraid, okay? And then you're gonna stir that around and add that to the plate when it's done browning. I've got that back over the heat, more olive oil, and we're gonna go down with our vegetables. Remember the onions, the peppers, those are going in first. Leave the garlic off to the side. Yes, jalapenos. Oh, there's the garlic. The jalapenos in there, and we're gonna saute this bad boy as well. Now I use this metal spatula and a wooden spatula. I want to scrape up as much of the stuff on the bottom as I can. Salt and pepper, like I said before, always add that in there. Stir it up, and as this releases some of the water from the onions and peppers, it's gonna naturally pull up that fond off the bottom, and that's where our real flavor comes from. Now it's time to add our spices in. Just dump those in and get ready to stir. While it's hot, we want to get those spices toasted and opened up. And we add a whole bunch of flavor in here when we add a little heat to that spice blend. Now we're gonna get ready and add our tomato paste in. Really we want 3 tablespoons down in there. We're gonna add our garlic because you forgot it before, and we're gonna stir all this together and give it about 30 seconds on the heat. Next up, we're gonna add our beer, about 12 ounces of that, and just let that cook off and get the goods off the bottom of that pan. Now for the fun part, add all these canned goods into this. Look at this, we got kidney beans, tomatoes, we got some chilies. We got all the stuff you need to really make it a chili. And here we go. Let's get started with our diced green chilies. We're gonna drop those in and give it a stir around. This is a substitute because I didn't have enough peppers because apparently, even though I'm shooting videos for cooking, I forgot to go shopping. Big piece of this, make sure that you go shopping for the ingredients you need. Otherwise, you'll be substituting stuff. And substitutes are okay. I still remember my favorite substitute teacher in elementary school, Mrs. U. She never made us do anything but watch videos, and boy did I learn a lot. Now we're gonna add some brown sugar, a little bit of regular sugar, and then some cocoa powder for that extra special kick. It really changes the flavor of what we have going on here. Put in about a teaspoon of that sugar. We're gonna probably put in a tablespoon to 2 tablespoons of brown sugar, and chili's so forgiving, you can do whatever you want. Put in about half a tablespoon of that cocoa powder and just go back to sturgatory hell, because that's what we're doing. We're stirring this chili all day, baby. Next up, we're gonna get our apple cider vinegar out. You can use regular vinegar, any kind of vinegar you want. You want about half a tablespoon in there. You're gonna stir that around too, and this really helps brighten the flavors of your chili. Sometimes you taste chili and it's muted, dull, tastes like it was made by people who don't have tongues. That's fine. This is gonna be your diced chilies and tomatoes. You want those in there. Kidney beans. Some people like kidney beans with the juice. Some people like without the juice. We got an hour here. Put the juice in, add a little flavor. It helps thicken your chili up and make it really tasty. I use dark and light. You can use dark or just light. You can be racist and just use white beans. I don't really care. Next up, you're gonna do your crushed tomatoes. I like Red Gold. I found them on sale. They're pretty high quality. Beef Bullion, aka MSG Jesus. This really helps add some extra flavor to your food. If you don't want to use the bouillon cubes, Better Than Bouillon is a great substitute. Plus it makes you feel a little bit healthier, a little bit of feel-good stuff, whatever. Do your own thing here. The chili is all yours. I'm just here to show you how we can make it in an hour. Now I stir this, I taste it. It tastes pretty good, but I think I might need something like, oh, I don't know, meat? Oh, there's a whole plate of meat right there. Philip, why don't you have the meat? That's the question I asked myself. There we go. Now I'm getting to it. Put your meat right down in there. Juices and all, pull it off the plate, drop it into your pot. Don't overfill it, and maybe get a bigger pot next time. And then you're gonna stir gently. Get that meat incorporated into this chili. This is where our flavor friendship circle starts. You stir it all together, let them all mingle and get juicy and tasty together, and let it go for about half an hour to an hour, depending on how long you want to simmer it for. Now I want to add about half a cup of water with our spice bowl. Get all those spices that are left over and dump that in there. Thins out the chili a little bit, and this water will simmer off, so don't be afraid. It's just water after all. Next we have bay leaves. I forgot to talk about these as per usual. 2 bay leaves in here. You could do up to 5, depends on your flavor of bay. Bay, I don't know. But stir it in, put the little bit of chili on top of it, and just gently put those leaves in there. You don't want to break them up because you don't want to eat them later. Now it's time to simmer this bad boy. Turn it to low, medium low, put a lid on it, and we're gonna let it go, mine for about 30 minutes, and we're almost done. Now at this point, we've made chili. We also have the baby. This time, due to some complaints from previous video, I have it under the apron from Safeguard, just so everybody knows. Also, that's my pantry, and it's wide open. That's my pantry, and it's wide open. That's how we make a quick chili. It's been 40 minutes start to finish, and then you gotta let it sit for like 30. But that's it.